We are live. Okay, so we've gotten through 90% of the quadratics and parabola stuff. So you've been exposed to everything that's factorable. You agree with me?
Yep.
I've only given you trinomials that you could factor, right?
Yep.
Where I gave you stuff like this, where x squared plus 2x minus 48. How would I factor that?
You would do the thing, the over thing symmetry.
Factors of C that add to B. What is this?
I have no idea.
Lovely video. Okay. So, guys, you got to pay attention, guys. Okay. Factors of C that add to B, right? So 6 times 8 is 48. Which one would have to be negative to be positive 2?
6.
All right, right? And immediately you can factor it, right? It's x minus 6 times x plus 8, right? Yes?
Yes.
So sometimes, though, I'll give you something that you can't factor. And so there is this very powerful approach called completing the square. And I'm going to teach it in 2 parts today. So today's part is just practicing the method that you're going to use to actually solve the problem. We're not going to solve the problem today. We're only going to practice the method. Is that clear? So it's really pretty simple. Once you understand it and understand the technique, you should be able to get through the homework pretty fast, okay? So, and then tomorrow we'll use it in a real problem. So basically, let's say I gave you something like this. X squared plus 8x plus C. And I need to know what C is, right?
It's 0.
But
No, it's not.
so the idea is I'm going to complete the square. I want to create a perfect square. Now let's think about what is a perfect square and why perfect squares are so valuable. Okay? Really, really powerful. If I have a square, that's sort of a square. So, and this is 2, and this is 2. What is my area?
It's 4.
My area is 4, right? So I know 4 is a perfect square. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I take the square root of 4?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, square root of 4. Anything that's a perfect square, I can take the square root of. The square root of 4 is 2. Which is this, right? What if I had another perfect square and this was 6 and this was 6? What would be the area?
36.
36, right? Can I take the square root of 36?
Yes.
Which is 6. It's that. It's the side. What if I have a perfect square that is x plus 2 times x plus 2?
X squared plus 4,
So
which is a perfect square.
this I would have to do, I would do x plus 2 times x plus 2, right? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Which I could also write as this, right? X plus 2 squared. Am I right? Is that true? And then can I square this? What would I get? X plus 2. And that is the reason, that's the reason we can use this method. Because if we create a perfect square, even though they don't give us a perfect square, we're going to create a perfect square which would allow us to take the square root of it, and no longer will we have an x squared, we'll just have x. And then that's what we're trying to solve for, is x. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really an awesome thing to know what to create a perfect square. So that's what they call completing the square, creating a perfect square. So here we go. The question is, how do I find C to make this a perfect square? Meaning it'll be parenthesis x plus 2 times parenthesis x plus 2, or x minus 7 times parenthesis x minus 7. The two things in the two parentheses are going to be identical. That make sense? Right? So the way to do it, here's the method. Here's your method. Number 1, divide B by 2. Okay? What is 8 divided by 2? 4. So, and notice it's a positive 8. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Positive 8. So positive 8 divided by 2 is positive 4. I'm going to write a plus 4 there and I'm going to circle it. Okay?
Yep.
And I'm writing it underneath.
Yep.
Here's the next thing I do. Square that number and, whoops, and replace C with it. Okay? Square that number, replace C. Do you have your notes? Have you written any of this down? Make sure you write this down. All right, here's your method. So what's 4 squared? 4 times 4.
It's
16. So C is 16. So now I'm going to do this. X squared plus 8x plus 16. Now, if we did this right, this would be a perfect square. Now let's factor it. Just to prove. Just prove it's a perfect square. Factors of 16 that add to 8.
4 and 4.
Ah. 4 and 4. So immediately I've got x plus 4 times x plus 4. Right? Which is, and this is, so in the homework, I want you to do each of these steps, and then I want you to go one step further with this. This is the same thing as saying x plus 4 squared. You with me? Because it's that times itself.
Is that it?
Right?
Wait, why
That's-
did we add 4?
All I'm doing is saying, I did this. I divided b by 2.
Oh,
I
okay.
divided b by 2. It's a positive 8, so it's a positive 4. The plus sign is important to write in there. And you'll see why in a few minutes, right? Now notice, okay, and then what we did is then we squared that, and that's what c became.
Yeah.
4 squared is c. So then I rewrote it like this.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, so whatever you divide by 2 and that.
Then you square it,
that's-
and that becomes your c.
Okay.
Okay?
Gary,
Does that make sense?
Gary, are you about to do that thing where you're like, but wait, there's more?
No.
Is this it?
That's it. That's all you have to do.
No. but
That's all you have to do for each problem on the homework tonight. It's really, really simple. It's just getting in this habit of understanding how to create a perfect square, okay? All right, and then tomorrow we'll use it in a real life situation, okay? You'll understand it. Because then tomorrow is going to be a piece of cake too. I usually do this all in one lecture and then people are lost, right? At the end. And it's a really powerful method. So, but notice something. I want you to notice something. Blaze, I want you to notice something in particular since you're talking. All right? Listen. Watch. Notice I told you to write half of 8 as a plus 4 and I circled it. Look down here. It's x plus 4 squared. Do you see that?
Yes.
Let's just
Is
see
it
if that
always gonna be like
continues.
that?
Let's just see if that does,
Okay, so
okay?
it's gonna be like
So that's going to be the first. That was our first one. Let's do a second one.
Wait, do we have?
Let's do a second one. Let's say I give you x squared plus, I don't know, say we'll do 10x plus c.
Okay,
Okay.
so it'd be x squared plus 5. I mean, plus 10x, sorry. Plus, wait.
So what's half? So my thing, divide b by
5.
2.
5.
So that's going to be positive 5, right?
Uh-huh.
X
Now what?
squared plus 10x plus 25, because you have to multiply it times 2, right?
Right. 5
Okay.
squared is c, so that's 25. Now we're going to factor it.
Then it's x plus 5.
25 factors is 5 and 5. That gives you 10. X plus 5. X plus 5.
And then you can change it to x plus 5 squared.
X plus 5 squared.
Can we get the
And
homework?
look at that.
Big things. Yeah.
Look at that. That's amazing, right? With me?
Yeah.
See it?
Can we
Does
get
that
the
make
homework?
sense? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Can I erase the method now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary,
Is
Yeah,
there
I'll
another
just erase these.
You'll do
No.
the
He's
homework.
gonna do another one.
I'll Chris, that
Not bad.
number 3.
Do we have to do another? Okay.
Ah, can we please?
X squared minus 14x plus c. All right.
It's okay. Don't take
Notice,
the next one.
notice now I put
Negative
I can put a minus here, right?
It's just negative.
So yeah, so this is now going to be -7. Do you agree with me? Half of -14 is -7. So now what do I write? Tom, help me.
No, you're
Alright,
right.
now you put, here, wait. Alright, now what you do is you do 7 times 7, right?
Yeah. -7 times -7.
Times negative is positive.
Now notice this. C is always positive because this number squared, whether it's positive or negative, will always be positive here. Your C is always positive when you have a perfect square. All right, always. So here we go. -7 times -7 is 49. So I've got x squared minus.
Okay, minus 14x plus 49.
Right. Now I'm going to factor it.
Oh my god, no.
X factors of 49,
7,
7 and 7, which is,
X plus 7, X equals 7.
but in order to get a -14, it's going to have to be -7 and -7, right? So it'll be -7, guys. And then this becomes x minus 7 squared.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, right?
Now can we get the
Right?
homework?
And notice, you can always check your final answer by checking to make sure that that is in your final answer. You see what I mean? That's why that circling that half of -14 is so powerful. Immediately you're going to know what your final answer is. But for now, I just want you to get in the habit of doing this. Eventually, you're going to go from here straight to here. You're going to see it. Does that make sense? Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
You guys need fist of 5, just so I know.
Wait, Gary, if we, Gary, if we know how to just go from like that one to that one, can we just do that?
Uh, yes. As long as you understand that the reason that is because it's this,
I
right?
understand. But can I just
So, guys, I know
ice cream?
the one thing I just want to mention about this is a lot of people when they see something written like this, they forget what this actually means. A lot of people would say, what is x minus 7 squared? They say, oh, well, it's x squared plus 49. Do you see what's wrong with that?
Yes. It's
They
not,
didn't.
though.
It's FOIL. It's a binomial times a binomial. You got to do first times first. First times outside.
Oh, what's
And
that
then
called?
inside. FOIL.
Well,
Right?
I was trying to.
First, outside, inside, last. That's how you find out what x minus 7 squared is. It's not just x squared minus 7 squared.
Do you have
Or
to do
x7.
that though?
Have to do what?
Like find out what
You have to do. You don't.
so you don't have to
Not in this case, but I just want to be sure you understand what that, that is the same as this. And it's not just x squared minus 7 squared or something.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, that's it. And then tomorrow, it's going to be a piece of cake. If you understand this, tomorrow is like such a piece of cake. Okay?
Gary, can you do that one more?